I'm going to WonderCon. What books am I going to submit to CGC this time? Welcome back to Still Only 35 Cents. This is issue 13, and for this one I'm going to take you through a submission and how I prepare to make a submission to CGC. So CGC will be taking in books at the next con I'm going to, which is WonderCon in Anaheim, California. So I'm looking forward to taking this selection of books and see what grades I can get. But before we get into the actual books themselves, as always, don't forget to hit that like button down below. It really helps us in terms of getting more eyeballs on the channel. And then on top of that, if you haven't subscribed already, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell for future content. Now, the process that I've gone through in terms of this submission, I've already pre-scanned every single one of the books that you've seen in the video. I will be going onto the CGC boards, and I'll leave a link to that down below, to get their opinion on the potential grades for these books prior to them coming back from CGC. Now, they're usually a great barometer, as you would have seen some of my earlier videos, which I'll leave a link to at the end of the video so you can get a sense of how I've submitted in the past. But this will be, as I say, I scan pretty much every book that I get and submit into CGC before I go over to a show. So I find that as a very, very valuable source to be able to refer back to once a book has been graded. If there are any issues, if a book comes back from CGC damaged or the pressing's not really great, it's always a great resource to be able to go back to CGC and say, hey, this looked like this before then and now it looks like this. So always remember, if you're submitting books, I tend to scan them in first, or at least take a photo, so I've got a photographic record to be able to then provide that to CGC if there is an issue that you want to address with them. So with that, let's get on to the comic books. So first off the mark, we've got a magazine submission that I'll be making, and the first book in that will be my Warrior #1. Now, this issue is well known because it is the first appearance of my Miracle Man, or Marvel Man as he was known then, the great Alan Moore title that came out in the 80s. In addition, it also has the first appearance of V for Vendetta. So Warrior magazine is well known for that. This is a particularly high grade copy, so I'm looking forward to seeing what grade I get. I've got a feeling it'll be around about an 8 to 8.5, but we'll see what happens with this one. Next up, we have a copy of Captain Britain #8. This is from volume 2. Now, this is the first appearance of Meggan in her proper form. So this is the form that you normally recognize Meggan in. This is from great art from Alan Davis, and Alan Davis did the story to this as well. So Meggan is a key member of the Excalibur team and the wife of Captain Britain. So a great issue to have graded. I think this one has a standing chance of hitting in the sort of high 9s. So happy with this, give it a good go. Next up, another one in the Captain Britain run. This is one of the early Captain Britain rebirth title Marvel superheroes. This is issue 379, which I think he was relaunched in issue 377. Again, this one looks like it's going to present really well, so I think this will get in the 9s, but fingers crossed. What I will do is post the grades when I do get them back. Next up is Captain Britain, and this is another one from volume 2. This is issue #10. Not a super key on this one, but I'm looking to get a full 9.8 run, and this one I think is potentially a 9.8 candidate. Presents really well, and so therefore I'm submitting. Again, another from the Captain Britain volume 2 run, another super high grade one, which I'm hoping to get a good grade out of CGC for this one. This is issue 9. Again, not a massive key issue. I think this has the first appearance of the Cherubim, which are a sort of mutant warp type of supergroup, children's supergroup. Again, I really liked these characters back in the day, but we'll see what grade we get on this one. Next up is another Captain Britain. This is the final issue in the run of Volume 2, and this is when Captain Britain takes the mantle. Before he joins Excalibur, Betsy at this point, she was blinded in issue 13 and is recuperating in this issue. So this is the last issue of the run. Again, don't have this in a 9.8 right now. Have a potential idea that this could hit that range. So I'm looking forward to putting this one forward and seeing if we get that grade. Then we have one of my perennial favourites. This is a sort of key of sorts. This is the true first appearance of Betsy Braddock, aka Psylocke, as Captain Britain in the last panel of the Captain Britain story. This is issue number 12. The following issue is a great cover of her, and I covered that in my recent live stream, which you can find a link down below too. Again, I've got a couple of copies of this, but this is such a key issue, I wanted to get it graded. I think it will end up in the sort of high 9s, hopefully. So we'll see what happens with that one. Then we have issue 2 of Captain Britain, and not just one, I've got 2 of these. So this is issue 2 of Captain Britain of the first volume. This is his second appearance, and it's realistically, I think the art in this and the story in this was actually reconfigured so that it was a bit more dynamic in the first issue. So this has a bit more of the origin of Captain Britain within it. Critically, with these 2 issues, they both have the boomerang, the free boomerang, which will be inserted when CGC grade this book. And as I mentioned, I've got 2 really high grade copies of these that I'm submitting, both of them with the boomerangs included. So wish me luck on those 2. Again, I think they'll end up in the high 9s, so super optimistic. Next up, we have a copy of Captain Britain Volume 1, issue number 35. These later issues are really difficult to get in high grade, primarily because they change from paper stock, which is what they were originally, to the more sort of glossy paper, and unfortunately that's not very forgiving on the spine. So I'm hopeful that this one will get a high grade, hence the reason why I'm submitting it. Again, with my Captain Britain sets, I've got both Volume 1 and Volume 2, and I'm winning on the registry in terms of the scores. My issue with them is I really want to try and get as many 9.8s as I possibly can for this set. So this is one of the ones that's missing, and hence the reason why I'm resubmitting another version of that. Then we have number 16. This one's a great issue. I have a 1 page of original art for this book. This is Captain Britain number 16 from Volume 1, and it features the first battle and meeting of Captain Britain and Captain America. So if you're ever on the lookout for a really key book, this one in that first run, outside of issue 1 and issue 2 and issue 8, which is the first appearance of Betsy Braddock, I'd suggest issue 16 is probably the most key issue within this run, given the fact that you have the 2 captains come to blows in that issue. Next up, we have Captain Britain issue 37. This is the last, I believe it's the last but 1 issue in the run. I think it ended at issue 39. Again, I don't have a 9.8 in this, so I'm chasing the 9.8, and I think that this has a real opportunity to get it. Again, not a super key, but perfect in terms of finalising that collection at 9.8. Then we have issue 36 of Captain Britain. Again, a stunning cover, and I think this was used in a number of sort of marketing materials for Captain Britain in terms of that amazing pose on the front cover. Great cover to have. Again, high grade copy, hoping to get a 9.8. Let's see what happens when the books come back. And then to finalise the magazine subscription, we have issue 38. This is the last, no, this is actually the last but 1 issue. The one prior is the 3 issues before. So this is issue 39. So this is a treasured one for me because I want to try and get, as I say, get this run a full 9.8. Again, this is another stab. I think I've got like 9.2s and 9.4s of this title. So hopefully this one will grade well. All of these, by the way, will be going for pressing with CGC. I haven't had time to press them here at home, but we'll see how they turn out. Okay, next up we've got the modern books, and this is a really big submission. So I think 20 to 25 books in total will be coming to CGC. Here are some of the highlights from there. So the first one is all new Marvel Now .1 issue 1. This one's notable because it is the first appearance of Kamala Khan as Ms. Marvel. You can see her on the cover just here. Next up we have Doomsday issue 1. This is a very early John Byrne art title. I picked this up from Future Past Finishes Collectibles. Again, all of these books, I think that I've got an outside chance in the sort of high 9s for most of these. They will be going for a clean and press via CGC and submitting via WonderCon. So wish me luck with this early John Byrne. And then following on the John Byrne theme, a book that I received earlier this year after hunting for it for such a long time. This is Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch, issue 2. Again, notable because it's an early John Byrne art in that book. And then we continue the John Byrne run. John Byrne, this is E-Man number 6. This one has the first appearance of one of his creations in there. So there's a backup strip in here, Rog 2000. And yes, looking forward to seeing what grade I can get on this. And not to be beaten, I do then have a copy of issue 9, which also featured that same backup strip by John Byrne, early art again. And then to finish us off on the E-Man run, we have issue 10. So hopefully these will get really great grades. Again, being Charlton, the paper quality is not that great, but we'll see how CGC grade these out. Next up, perennial favourite for me, this one, I've got a number of copies of this. So this is G.I.Joe 21. This is the world famous silent issue. There are no word balloons in this comic book. Beautifully drawn, beautiful key issue if you can grab your hands on this one for G.I. Joe fans. Not just one though, I have 2 and 3. Great to have these. Let's see what CGC says. I'm a little nervous of submitting them all together in one submission because generally then you see that the books sort of tend to battle it out against each other in terms of grade. So hopefully they'll all get a similar grade. They are very, very high quality. So let's see what happens with those. Then to finalize the G.I. Joe piece, we've got issue 22. Now this is the first appearance of Duke, so I wanted to get this one submitted. Again, I had a number of copies of this. This was probably the best presenting of the lot, so we'll see what we get with that one. Then we have a newsstand copy of Wolverine 75. This issue is famous, of course, for Wolverine popping his claws post Magneto stripping his adamantium from his body, and the claws popping out and being made of bone. So this is a great issue to have with that amazing hologram on the front cover. Again, we'll be going for a clean and press. It'll be interesting to see how CGC handle that. But this one is the newsstand edition, which is why I'm submitting it, not the direct one. Talking about direct copies, we have a copy of X-Men 4. This is the first appearance of Omega Red. Looking forward to seeing what that one comes back as. Another first appearance, Longshot number 1. Art Adams won't be getting it signed. I don't think Art's at the show this year, but again, want to get this submitted. Got this from Future Past Vintage Collectibles. It's supposedly a sort of near mint to mint, so 9/8 candidate, so we'll see how we go with that one. Following on, we have Hulk number 271. This is the first appearance of Rocket Raccoon in comic books. I haven't had this book before, so this came in recently, and so I'm going to be submitting this to CGC to see what grade we can get. It does present well, but I don't think it's 9.8 worthy. We'll see what we get. But again, one of the things that I'm going to do with all of these books is I will be posting them on the CGC boards to get a sense of the grades, and I'll post these down below as they come through. Next up is Hulk 345, one of my favourite issues. Has that amazing scene in it where Hulk is caught in the centre of a giant explosion. A beautiful sort of double-sized book, always hard and tough to grade. We'll see what we get with this one. Todd McFarlane art throughout and a beautiful Todd McFarlane cover. So want to get another one of these graded. I haven't been able to get a high grade in this book just yet. Might be stumped a little bit by some of the issues that I see here, like there's a little bit of bindery tear at the top, but hopefully this one will get me in the high 9s. And then whilst we're on the subject of the Incredible Hulk, who would not want to submit this copy of the book? Hulk 340 with that iconic Todd McFarlane Hulk and Wolverine cover. Again, I've got another copy of this somewhere. It's not as high grade as this one. This looks pretty good. So with a clean and press, I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the high 9s. Just how high, I just don't know yet, but I'm sure that I'll let you guys know as soon as that grade comes back. Next up, Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man issue 1. Now this one came with in a Unicef pack that I had, again, randomly just inserted in there. But yes, wanted to get this graded. It's not really of super high value, it's not really a super key, but first new title for Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man, wanted to get it graded at the very least. We'll see how this one turns out. It's a pretty good looking copy, but I'm not 100% confident on a 9.8 on this one. I am pretty confident on this one. So this is Spider-Man Special Edition Issue 1. Now this is a charity comic that was in partnership with Unicef, and as I mentioned, I got the Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man in with this one. This was, I think it cost $5, a donation to Unicef, and they would then send you this book in a mailer. So I cracked it out of the mailer, want to get it graded. I think they go for about $200 if you can hit that 9.8. So we'll see what we get with this. They're pretty, they're not as, considering they were like a $5 comic that you'd have to send away for, they're not that wide on the ground. So hopefully let's see what this comes back as. Next up, Amazing Spider-Man 285. This is a super clean copy. So I'm going to get it graded, see how it turns out. Great Punisher cover, Mike Zeck art on there. So we'll see how that one turns out. But this is the first of a number of Spider-Man keys, which I think you'll enjoy. So the next one on the list is issue 252 of Amazing Spider-Man. Can't wait to see what I get with this one. I've had a look, I've scanned this in, we'll be going on the board. Let's see what we get with this. I'm relatively confident of a sort of 9.4, 9.6, even a 9.8 on this with the right condition. It's super beautifully conditioned, super beautifully presenting. So let's see how we do with that one. Let's stop with the Spider-Man keys. How about the first cover appearance of Venom on issue 316. Well, not the true first cover appearance of Venom, but full cover appearance of Venom with that amazing, as I say, Todd McFarlane cover art on there. Let's see how we go with this one. Again, super nervous, great looking copy quality, but will it get that high grade that I really want? And then you can't have an issue 316 if you don't have an ASM 300, Amazing Spider-Man 300. First full appearance of Venom in comic books, and that stunning, beautiful, classic cover from Todd McFarlane. This again is a beautifully presenting copy. I'm confident in the high 9s. Let's see how we go. And then to close us off on the modern book submission, one of the books that I've been after for a while. This one will probably sit around 8, I think. It is Uncanny X-Men, or X-Men 94. This is the first appearance of the new team in the X-Men run post Giant Size X-Men #1. I have never owned this book before. I was super happy to get it, and I just think it's worth grading a book like that, even if it is at that sort of grade, because this is a little piece of history, and even though the story inside is not that great, this is an iconic book to have in your PC. So next up we have a vintage submission. This is a really small one, only 3 books, but I wanted to share this one with you. These are Silver Age keys of sorts. The first one is the first appearance of the Wrecker. This is Thor 148. I already have this graded at a reasonable grade. I can't remember off the top of my head what that is today. It's in the 9s, but I've got super high hopes for this one. It was a really clean copy. Again, you don't find Silver Age books in this condition very often, so I've scanned this. I'll be putting it on the boards, as I mentioned, and you'll see how good that book is. I'd love to get your thoughts down below on what you think the grade could possibly be on this. Again, vintage submission. So next up on my vintage submission is another one that's crucially a key. I've never really had this book before. This is Fantastic Four number 28. This is a UK Pence variant. It is beautiful. It's a very well presenting copy. I think it'll end up in the sort of 8.5s to 9 potentially. It's got a little bit of issues at the sort of corner here, but we'll see how we go with this book. This book is notable because it's the first crossover between the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. So looking forward to seeing how this Silver Age key will grade out. A beautiful cover here, beautiful cover. And then to finish us off, I've got this stunning, beautiful, absolutely stunning copy of Amazing Spider-Man 61. This one's notable because it is the first cover appearance of Gwen Stacy, and I think it's her father, Captain Stacy, as well, with Spider-Man swinging into the rescue. beautiful yellow cover. This is an immaculate copy, so we'll see how this one turns out. I have literally high hopes for this one. I think it'll get in the 9s. How high we get in the 9s, I don't know. And again, these will all be cleaned and pressed by CGC, so wish me luck. And to close us out on the submissions, I've got a bunch of books that I'm considering submitting at the show because Marv Wolfman will be there, the creator of the New Teen Titans. And so I've got a set of books that, that he has had involvement in as a writer, so I wanted to get these graded. Now this one, because he created the New Teen Titans, this is the first appearance of the New Teen Titans in DC Comics Presents number 26. I've got a couple of copies of this signed, one by George Perez and one by Marv himself. And again, I'm thinking of submitting this. I don't have a UK price variant in the collection as yet, and so I wanted to get this submitted, see how it goes. I don't think it's going to hit super high. I think it's got an outside chance of a 9, but we'll see how we go. It's got a couple of little spine ticks down the side here, but super happy to try and get this signed by Marv at the show. Let me know what you think, if I should actually just submit these as they are or leave them and get them signed by Marv. I'm a little on the fence, and I really appreciate your thoughts in terms of signature series versus leaving the books as is. I think in this instance, I'm quite happy to have Marv sign this because, again, you know, UK price variants are quite rare to get on the CGC census anyway, and I don't think it's going to really grade out super high, this book anyway, and so it'll be a nice one for the PC. So that's the first one in this sort of potential submission to CGC at the show. The next up is a title that Marv wrote, and there's a number of books in this series that I'm submitting or potentially considering for submission. So this is Crisis on Infinite Earths issue 1. Again, this one's a really nice looking copy, so hopefully it'll grade out well. Again, should I take that risk with submitting it for CGC signature series, getting the signature witnessed by Marv? We'll see on the day, but I wanted to put this out there so you could see the books that I'm considering in this instance. Next up in the Crisis run, I've got issue 9 with all the villains on the front cover. Again, let me know, should I get it graded as it is or should I get it graded by Marv whilst he's there? And then I've got a beautiful, this one's a stunning copy now. This one, I think, this one is was sold to me as a near mint to mint. So this has potential for a 9.8 grade. Again, this is a super key issue, that Flash issue. Let's see how this one grades out. And then to close us out, we have Crisis on Infinite Earths number 10. Again, another high grade copy. Not sure if I should get Marv to sign this, but it's something that I'd love to hear down in the comments down below what you think, whether I should submit this book and send it in for signature series. What I want to try and do with this video is make it a bit more interactive. So I'll leave a link to every single one of the CGC board posts that I put up there for each of these books. So not only can you see the books here, but you'll be able to have a really good close-up look on the CGC boards and get involved in terms of giving me your view on the grades. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so hope you enjoyed the video. As mentioned, leave a comment down below, and the usual, if you haven't already, click that subscribe button. If you enjoyed the content, please click that like button and click that notification bell to be notified of future content. As I mentioned, we'll have a live stream this week from WonderCon, post the event, which we'll be hosting probably Sunday or Monday of this week as well. So you get a sense of the books that I picked up, the books that I submitted, and the show itself. And with that, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all soon. Don't forget to check out our other great content on the channel, including walkthroughs, unboxings, as well as our Merry Monday mail call show every Monday at 8 AM Australian Eastern Time. We'll see you then.